Just one last thing, Iran and Israel, what's going to
Mhm.
happen in your opinion? Is there going to
Great
be
question. So here's the situation. For those of you who don't know, October 7th, the Hamas does an attack. Now, it's not Palestine attacking Israel. It's Hamas attacking Israel. It's really hard for us to understand in the United States because our political parties don't have military arms. But in Palestine, Hamas is a political party, but they really run unopposed, and they also have a military arm. Not like military in that they actually they buy weapons, and they actually do military operations. October 7th, some horrible things happened. We all seen it. I'm not going to comment on it. Just it was atrocious. Anybody who stands by what Hamas did on October 7th, you're just a fucking terrible person. Now, the Palestinian people, now, even though a great many of them support Hamas, the reality of the situation is in order for the Palestinian people to get along with the Israelis at some point, which by the way was about to happen, Egypt was even about to sign another trade agreement with Israel, which is why I think this attack happened in the first place. Things were getting too nice between these Middle Eastern countries. When that happened, Israel then responded with a huge military operation. Israel has a modernized Western military, meaning what I like. There's Soviet bloc and U.S. bloc. Israel has a U.S. bloc military, meaning T-70, meaning M1 Abrams tanks and F-16s and F-15s, like top of the line gear. They actually create the Uzi submachine was created by Israelis. So they have a top of the line military when it comes to technology and when it comes to hardware. And so in this case, when they go back and invade back into Palestine, the Palestinians, they have certain areas that are designated as civilians, and some of the people who are Hamas agents went into those areas to try to hide. And the Israelis were like, no, we're coming after you. And things, depending on who you believe, got out of hand where the Israelis, their response was too much. They went after too many people and they were killing civilians, although I don't know exactly how completely true that is. I have no doubt civilians have died in this incident. I highly doubt that Israel was specifically targeting civilians because they were civilians for no other reason than they just hate Palestinians. I don't agree with that. Now, what happens in response to that is that the ISRG, the Republican Guard of the Iranian military, they want to help support the Palestinians. They also want there to be chaos in this situation. They don't want to see peace in the Middle East. And so what they do is they have an embassy in Damascus. They send an agent to Damascus in that embassy, and he starts running guns and supplies across the Israeli border to try to help insurgents in this whole situation between Gaza and Israel. And Israel finds out about it and then runs a surgical strike and blows up the Iranian embassy in Damascus, killing 7 Iranian people, including the guy who is running these operations. Now, one thing you need to notice, one thing you need to know is next to the Iranian embassy in Damascus is the Canadian embassy in Damascus. Obviously, had they accidentally killed Canadian citizens, that would be a huge faux pas, right? This was a surgical strike that happened. And so now the response for Iran is to send drones into Israel. And Iran, a lot of people don't know this because Iran doesn't have a modernized military. One of the things they started to do was specialize in these combat drones. And they've been selling these drones to the Russians in their conflict with Ukraine. And the reason why these drones are so effective is not because they're more advanced. The US has way more advanced drones than these Iranian drones. The reason why the Iranian drones are so deadly is because they're cheap. So what was happening in Ukraine is it was costing $40,000 of US hardware to shoot down a $6,000 Iranian drone. Does that make sense? Because Iran mass produces these drones, the least investment that they could do to as a show of force over Israel is to send 400 drones over there to try to kill people. I don't know what the death toll is now, or if there is a death toll. Israel is kind of shooting back, and there were agents of Iran on Twitter saying, after this is the end of it. We're not going to do anymore. Iran does not have the capability of invading Israel, just so we're clear. If anyone wants to debate that, I will go over platform by platform, explain to you why that's not realistic. Iran doesn't have the capability of an air raid or a land invasion of Israel. Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, all together could not invade Israel. Okay, I just want to make sure you guys understand that if you're not aware. Saudi Arabia could. I disagree. I take everything I just said. That Saudi Arabia spends like 280 billion a year on defense. Saudi Arabia could. The rest of those countries could not. And so because of that, what's happened is people are like, well, we're going to go into World War II. You guys obviously know I like Andrew Tate. I respect Andrew. But Andrew's whole thing about World War III starting because of this, I think he's saying it because he knows it's going to get a lot of engagement. This is not going to be the beginning of World War III for one main reason. Israel is a nuclear power. They have ICBMs, and they're backed by the United States, which also has ICBMs. Iran does not have ICBMs, and the only countries that could possibly back them that do would be Russia or Pakistan. And I don't see either one of those countries, or India. I don't see any of those countries that have ICBMs backing Iran in this conflict to the point to where it starts a world war. Does that make sense? I know that was a long roundabout answer to kind of explain what's going on.
That was fantastic. Thank you for that explanation.
I try to give a tempered answer, but some people are like, oh no, like Israel just attacked them for no reason. Israel has not attacked anyone for no reason. Israel's made some mistakes for sure, but they haven't attacked anyone for no reason. You guys got to stop. You know better. You just deep down, you fucking know better.